Welcome, Jan, to the Autism Innovation Lab. It's really a pleasure to have you here. We've known each other for a while. We've talked. We've met in person. Typically stationed in Nashville as an entrepreneur in residence, among other things, at Vanderbilt, Frist Center for Autism and Innovation. And here we are in San Diego at the Autism Innovation Lab. Obviously, we're joining forces and reaching out across the coast as autism dads, trying to figure out how we can really create transformational technologies to make life better for our loved ones, but really our community, our larger autism community. So I wanted to have you here in the lab in our podcast to learn more about Sandy, which is kind of the startup that you're involved in, and tell us how you came up with it, why a driving app to help autistic individuals drive safely, manage the very, very, very intense sensory input that all of us experience, by the way, as we're driving. So it may help neurotypical people too, as well. So I'm sure it has wide applications. But tell us about your background, your journey, and then we'll get into Sandy. Thanks so much for joining us, Jan.
Thank you so much, Shahriar, for having me. Today I'm in Grapevine, Texas, where I'm at a conference called NAQ, which is the largest conference in the US for almost 30 years for, let's say, intellectual and developmental disability. So that's why I'm in this setting here today. Thanks again for having me. So, as you said, I started as an entrepreneur in residence for the Frist Center for Autism Innovation at Vanderbilt to bring Sandy to market. So I am responsible for the commercialization of what comes from Vanderbilt research background. Guess its mission and driven, I would say, stem from the Frist Center for Autism Innovation for certain technologies and innovations, sorry, and bring them the last mile towards go to market. And in that particular case, I took over a year ago Sandy, which was a different name back then, but Sandy stands for Simulator for Advanced Neurodiverse Driving Instruction, which is a driving simulator designed for people with autism and similar anxieties. And yes, you can also use this for general driver's education because, as you rightfully said, some issues are not, let's say, for only people with autism or the neurodivergent, let's say, community, but also for everyone else, like parking or, let's say, merging onto an interstate where you have then big semi-trucks, buses, and larger cars putting you in their midst. So this is frightening for everyone. But so Sandy, what is Sandy? The special ingredients for Sandy is it is a symbiosis between the driving instructor on one hand, which is a very crucial part in the, let's say, working together with the student driver or the learner on the let's say spectrum. It's an interactive experience. Why? Because there are sensors involved, like eye gaze tracking and physiological sensor data, like the eye gaze tracking I already mentioned, but also it does some sort of sweat analysis, stress analysis, and also heart rate, which helps the instructor to understand in a certain assignment, in a certain situation, even when the face of the driver says nothing, but inside the data shows I'm dying for anxiety because it's so stressful for me. That helps with the data and the AI involved in all of that. It helps to tailor the teaching methods better than traditional, let's say, programs. And it gives you a tool to understand what is the confidence score, what is the success rate of doing that program in this simulator, to then help you with the decision to say, now we start in parallel, let's say real world car driver's education, or we start at a success level of 50, 70%, whatever. This is not on us. It's the decision-making process based on our data for the driver's instructor to say, okay, we are good now, you are confident now to do the next step towards a driver's license. And what it does, we had in the past, before I even came on board with this last mile commercialization process, there were pilot studies with high schools, with nonprofit organizations who work with that, let's say, prototype kind of setting, and the results were outstanding. Increase of confidence, decrease of anxiety, and after the pilot program was passed, really shortly after that, the driver's test was passed. There's a higher success rate of people getting a driver's license, which was before that pretty, I would say, miserable. Only 30% were able to get their driver's license, and only after an average of 2 years. So all of that has been reduced and increased in the positive way to get people on the spectrum and similar independence, which is super important, as you, of course, know as an autism dad as well. And I'm an autism dad as well, because my daughter, she's 17, and I have to share this, she just passed her driver's license last Friday. And before that, I, of course, made her do the training, especially with parking, to get into, let's say, muscle memory of doing that. And it was very stressful that day, but she passed it because she was confident enough. And she, I would say, I don't know if this is a US expression, but she bit her tongue and she pulled through. And it was, so I'm still really, really proud of her. So, but this is what Sandy is about. And this is what Neurodiverse Technologies is about. It's the company that was spun out of Vanderbilt University and the Frist Center for Autism Innovation to take in and also develop and co-develop and further develop, which we did with Sandy, assistive and supportive technology. So this is just the beginning for us. Next year, we plan to have a new component to it. I want to share this as well. It's a simulation tool for people who have a driver's license but now want to survive a job interview. It's all about shaping careers and lives for people who haven't been able to do that and were struggling with the traditional ways of making someone preparing towards the job or towards the driver's license. So this is what we do, and I'm very happy that the feedback and response, since we are rolling out in the US. So one thing that would be nice if this podcast helps to spread the word of mouth, because we are rolling out in Arizona, in Tennessee, obviously, in Illinois and in Iowa. So, but we are meant to be rolled out to all the, let's say, corners of the United States and make it very accessible. So we are very much looking forward that even one-man shows can start their business with Sandy and operate a program with Sandy as a program part.
That's amazing, Jan. I mean, like I said, so many applications. I mean, I'm selfishly looking at even, applications to neurotypical people. And it just made you mentioned your teenage daughter. I assume that was kind of the impetus or the kind of one reason you began to get into develop Sandy is your own experience, your own journey with your daughter, right? Trying to limit her anxiety. But since you mentioned your story, I'll tell you mine. My nonverbal son often sits in the back. He's a teenager. Once in a while, he sits in the front. And someone cut me off one time, and I began to, start yelling at myself, really. And he felt the stress in me and held my hand and squeezed it, even though he's nonverbal. He wanted to calm me down, right? So whether you have a verbal child who simply is struggling with driving anxiety, which is very, very normal, or a nonverbal teenager like I do, they still sense the stress. and they reflect the stress in their environment. And to be able to, as you are doing, scientifically and clinically, be aware of that stress and be able to devise technologies to manage that stress. Such a huge transformational technology to help autistic individuals manage life, because transportation is a big deal. So many people don't drive, they take public transportation, they rely on loved ones, they just cannot deal with the stress of driving. And then add to it, your background is from Germany, I'm from Iran, we both live in America now. Driving in any other country is stressful. I've driven in Iran and it was stressful. Nobody stops at a red light, it just keeps going. So, tell me about the actual technology. Like you mentioned, the way, how does someone interact with it? Is it a cockpit? Is it an app? How does Sandy work with individuals?
So we are focusing on service providers. So nonprofit, high schools, driving schools, basically everyone who's working with neurodivergent individuals. But it doesn't start, it doesn't end with teenagers. The good thing is, and also I experienced it myself when I was, let's say, showcasing Sandy, there were a 29-year-old, 31-year-old accompanied by their mom, and then saying, oh, really? Let me try it out. And after that, they made the decision to really want to have a driver's license. So there is actually no, let's say, age limit to it. Of course, it starts when you start with it in it as a teenager, but it doesn't end. So there's open end in terms of what you can do. And I also spoke today at this conference with someone who says, okay, what is with driver's rehabilitation, or what's this with elderly people who had to give up their key to drive in a real world car, but they want to keep the hang of it. They want to feel the feeling of driving a car, and they can do this with Sandy as well. So there are many applications possible of how to use Sandy, and one was very interesting. It's this eye, hand, feet coordination. It's also some sort of therapeutical approach as well, because you have to get everything coordinated while driving this. So this is also a component to it as well, which makes me happy that this practicing Sandy and different assignments that we have has a variety of, let's say, applications that you can use.
Senior citizens, they rely on their cars. They're very dependent on their cars. I've worked with senior citizens before. Giving up their car is the last thing they want to do in life. They feel like if they give up their
Yes.
car, they give up their independence, their identity, and they may go into depression. So to be able to safely allow our senior community to be able to safely drive, that's a big deal. That like you say, the application is almost, a few million more than just teenagers or adults. So in the 5 minutes we have left, tell me about the physical environment of Sandy. Is it kind of like the heads-up display that you have in a car? You have digital imagery on a screen or eyeglasses, or what does it
No,
physically look
it's
like?
basically yeah, thank you for mentioning this or bringing this up. So it's basically one gaming PC, two screens. One is with the eye gaze tracking device on it, and then you have, so basically components like you can order online at Amazon within a week. That was important to us to have a really easy access to it. You can just buy all the ingredients for under $3,500 online, get these things together, and then you buy the software license, which is $6,500 per year, with a customer support, all the updates and everything, get you up and running. And that's it. So we stay under 10K for an initial investment of running a program in your area. This is one thing. And Neurodiverse Technologies is a young company. We just raised money, but we're still looking for investors. So if someone really wants to participate in this, that would be great. We are rolling out as we speak, increasing sales activities, but we are still looking for investment to close our angel round. So if this also gets out there, word of mouth. So it's distribution of Sandy in general, and also fundraising, also a point. But it's a pretty simple but effective way to start a program.
Right.
So yeah.
So it's a gaming platform. So you're practicing driving in a kind of a gaming environment at home safely, and you measure your stress responses, and you get feedback, and you're able to kind of get used to the stressors of driving. And eventually, the idea is to, as you put it, be able to pass your driving test, drive safely, and have all these other applications. It's about $10,000 of to buy the license, really for driving schools or institutions. It's not necessarily an individual customer that would typically buy this.
No,
It's
I
a
would
driving school.
advise yes, I would advise against this because that's, let's say, too much of cost,
Right, right,
because the service providers can make and run business to this, add this to their current business. So that is a
right,
B2B approach.
right.
Yes. But the demand is high. So we get requests. Is it already there? When can we access it there? So the demand is right now really, really high when people understand what they have with Sandy.
I think so. I think so. So if people want to reach out to you, where should they go? What is the website? How should they contact you?
So they can reach us at neurodiversetechnologies.com or sandy.website. Pretty easy to reach me
Sandy dot
as
website
well.
is SANDI dot website.
Website.
Is
Yes.
the startup website. So we're meeting with Jan at currently in Texas, but usually in Tennessee, Nashville, associated with Vanderbilt University's Frist Center for Autism and Innovation, and the founder of Sandy, and another autism dad. And a startup pioneer. So really, Jan, thank you so much for joining me. We are certainly going to encourage folks to reach out to Sandy, SANDI dot website, to reach out to you and learn more about Sandy, possibly invest, possibly learn more about acquiring one of the licenses and being able to bring it to their driving school or institution or any environment, business or nonprofit environment, where they can help neurodivergent drivers learn independence and gain independence, which is so important in life. So thanks a million, Jan, for what you're doing. We are going to be in touch through our mutual innovation labs, and hopefully bring more and more transformational technologies to our community. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Shahriar. Take care.